this will be the first log for the new barn. This is going to be a post. It's 12 feet in length. My finished dimensions though need to be 11 feet long. So I got about 6 inches on each end to play with after I get it done. And what I'm shooting for here is a true 8x8. Actually 8 1/8. I'm going to go over just about 1/8 of an inch. Just for my own standards right there. So that's going to be our final dimensions we're shooting for in this one. And we should have a few boards come off every side as well. We'll use for siding for the kiln probably. But let me bring the camera in over here on the end grain and show you guys what I'm talking about. I want to get an 8x8 timber centered right directly in the middle of the pith. I want to keep the pith centered inside of the timber. And I'll explain why. This log has been on the ground since springtime. It's still solid, got a little weathering here on the side, no big deal. It's in good shape, no rot or nothing like that going on. This side facing me, this is the small end. I have the large end on the other side. This is the operator's side, looking at 15.5 inches here in the diameter. And what my goal is here today is get a true 8x8 right here in the center of this log. I want the pith to be right in the middle of my 8x8. And the reason being, that's going to make the most stable timber. Usually I talk about taking the pith out. That's on boards or slabs or general lumber. This is going to be a post, and it's going to need to be strong, and I want it to remain its original shape if I can, as long as it can during the drying process, because we're going to be built with this timber while it's green. So the best way of doing that is treating this log like it's an 8x8 post, removing all this material on the outside to make it like it's an 8x8 tree pretty much. So what I'm going to do is measure down on both sides, come in and get my 8x8 dimension, and have the same amount of material between the end cut and the pith on both sides, and do it on all 4 corners. And the reason being, this wood is going to be green, like I said. That's how we'll work with it, and that's how we'll build with it while it's green. When you do timber framing, you use green wood and it dries while it's in place. So as this dries and checks, it's going to check a little and have little deformities come about as it dries. You can't stop that from happening, although we will anchor seal it to death here on the ends. I want it to dry naturally. So I want all 4 sides to have the same type of grain all the way around it. So when it shrinks, hopefully it's going to shrink on each plane the same amount. That's what you're after. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to shrink exactly the same amount on each face. But by doing it like this, it's your best way of trying to make that occur. Because you know, you're going to have one side facing the sun maybe. It's going to get hotter, one side's facing in. I may have a wood stove inside that shop, so it's going to get a little bit more, you know, heat than the outside face will. So, you know, there's a lot of drying factors to think about. But by making a complete square, I brought a Sharpie here. Kind of give you an idea. Of course, that's not going to look good at all. But by making a complete square on here, it's going to give this timber the best chance of drying and remain square. Bring that back so I can power up these hydraulics. What I'm going to do is go ahead and check the pith on both ends, make sure it's the same height, because that's very important. I want that pith centered from one end of the timber to the other. And if it's off any, I can use my log rollers on both ends to level up that pith to make sure it's parallel with the saw bed. We'll check this operator side first. Swing in this right there to get a decent measurement. So from the saw bed to the pith, exactly 10 inches to the center of that pith. I want it to be within a 1/4 inch tolerance on that from end to end. I really want it to be perfect, but a 1/4 inch or something like that would be okay, but I want it to be as dead on as I could get it. Down here on the far end, got a little bit of clearance there. It's probably going to be a little bit higher on this end, I had to guess. Not too bad, 11.5, so we're 1.5 inches off. So that far side needs to come up about 3/4 inch, and that will probably even this side out down here as well. 11.5. And it does not take much when you start lifting that up, because it forces that high side to go down a little. So down here we was at 11.5. See, now we're at 11. Pushed it down just a little by raising that far end up. So hopefully we'll be pretty close to 11 on that other end. See how we did. 11 inches. I've never got this right on the first time. I usually have to go back and move the levelers a few times, but right on the money. Good deal. I'm going to be picky on this log. I want it to be as good as I can get it because it's going to be for the barn. I want to have nice timbers in that barn. And this is something you can do when you reference your pith right here in the middle. Off the reference face, you can go back after you make your first cut and measure down from your reference face 5 1/4 to make sure that your pith is going to be centered on both ends. Now we'll go check the other side, and it should be just like this one if we got it just right, like I hope I did. 5 1/4 down from the reference face. Now we'll check this one here, and it should be 5 1/4 just like the other side if I got it right. And right there it is, 5 1/4 to the center of the pith. Good deal.